Hello. I'm really happy to be here talking to you today because I'm uncertain about a lot of things. And I guess the only thing we're certain about at this time of our lives is that everything is uncertain. There's a lot of questions I have in my head that I'm sure a lot of lay people have in their heads. So I'm going to start picking your brains and hoping that you have some answers for us. So the first question is, I have a lot of friends who have restaurants and bars, and I just want to understand, what do you see as the future of businesses like restaurants and bars? And at the moment, most of them don't have even cash flows to sustain rents or salaries. So how do you see this going forward?
So it's going to be a challenging time for sure. People are going to be sustaining on their reserves. They'll have to take temporary cash loans from banks, institutions, friends, personal cash, personal borrowings, and sustain through this time. But the business for restaurants, gymnasiums are definitely going to be dramatically changed because of the challenge of social distancing. So I'm sure the COVID-19 scenario is going to be difficult for some sectors, and these are some of the sectors which are going to have an impact. It will be corrected over a period of time, but in the short run, for the moment, it is going to be a tough time for restaurants, clubs, and every place which has got public related activities, because public and people are going to be scared for getting infected. So that's going to be a challenge. The government is definitely looking towards this sector on how it can be supported, but there is still not a sure shot formula on how this support can be extended. But I'm sure there would be ways and means. For the moment, when the lockdown opens up in phases, especially for cities like Mumbai, Pune, and other metro cities, it is going to take some phases. It is going to take some time. As they keep unfolding, there will be social distancing which will need to be maintained even within the restaurants. Now, that will go against the economics of the operations of these establishments, because if they make the cost of the food expensive, again, it is going to hit the consumer badly. But there is no go. The economics will have to be reworked. Economics backward will also have to be reworked in terms of rent, in terms of salaries. I hope nothing changes for the electricity bills, nothing changes for the advertisement cost and all those aspects, the food materials and all those aspects. But it is going to be a little turbulent for these sectors, at least for the next 6 to 12 months. So they will need to do some alternate revenue generation also. Pandemic has taught us one thing, Lina, that we cannot be dependent on one line of business, one revenue stream. We need to be diversified in multiple sectors of business, so that if one is impacted, you can support the other one. But this is a crude learning which has happened, and this is the ground reality, and people are facing it, and people are getting used to this new world order that I say. Even for families which are in working class, Lina, unlike entrepreneurs, in a family, if there is one entrepreneur and if that one business is a restaurant business, it will be impacted. But for working class people, when there are 4 people in the family and all 4 working in different organizations, it becomes a great support to the family. So definitive sources of revenue and variety of sources of revenue is the answer to this kind of scenarios. All the people in the restaurants and gymnasiums will have to sustain a little tough times for quite some time to come, till the government intervenes with some solutions, which I'm hopeful for. Yeah, Lina.
So one thing is, I've noticed, not just me, but a lot of people who go to gyms normally to work out have found that it's just as effective to work out at home. And in fact, it's not only just as effective, but it saves so much of time. So
Absolutely.
a lot of people are going to, I think, choose to work out at home rather than go to gyms. Do you see that as a trend?
So that is going to be as a trend. And there are also people who are taking online classes from expert trainers. In fact, for the trainers who are really adapted to the change and to the current scenario, they have adapted to enrolling people who are being trained online. So the subscription cost becomes lower. So the student benefits, at the same time, the ongoing sessions are going on. Lots of people across the world today are accessible. Today, a good trainer is accessible even if he's operating from some other country, and if he's good. And because of the distribution of his services through technology, probably he can be affordable. Otherwise, he would be a bomb of a cost where you can't get him to your city or to your gym or to your home. So solutions are coming out, and technology is a great leveler, Alina. Definitely, technology is bringing better and new opportunities. We just need to speedily adapt to the current scenario, economic scenario and situation, and come out with new models.
So one of the things you know, because you're a friend of mine as well, that I sold the brick and mortar business of education, right? Because I do see the future in technology, and I do see this great opportunity to demonetize education, which has so far in India been really, really only for the elite. I mean, great education comes at a great cost because of the real estate, and therefore, we've actually not had equality. And as you said, I think that this is going to be a time of great leveler. So, just one more question from that follow up is that if you owned a restaurant today, right? And I know that once upon a time you had an investment in restaurant, but if you had a whole lot of capex already, and say you had started operations a year ago, haven't recovered your capex, would you hold on to that, or would you actually sell it, or just let it go?
So I used to have a restaurant. I still have a resort at a beautiful place called Igatpuri. It's Dewdrop Resorts. It's completely closed at the moment. The revenue is zero. But I'm a serial entrepreneur. I've diversified my portfolio into multiple sectors. I'm into real estate. I'm into hospitality. I'm into education. I'm into sports. I'm also into content creation. So that saves me, because the diversification of revenues are helpful during such times. Now, this was never planned for, but suddenly it has become a boon in disguise. So I can still smile and have a chat with you online. But the people who have that as a single line of business, it's a challenge. Now I own the asset. Suppose if I want to sell the asset today, it might not be the right time to exit. So we'll have to hold on to the asset for some time for the times to improve. These are all turbulent times which are temporary in nature. Those who sustain and survive will grow. A man is not defeated till he quits. So there is no quitting in this world. All Indians are brave by heart. All Indians are hopeful. And the government is giving a great support. So I think things are going to change. On your education bit, Lina, you have been a great educationist. I've been a personal admirer of the changes that you brought in the education system in India in the early 90s onwards. And it has done a ton of good to a lot of students. But like you said, quality of education is directly proportionate to the cost of education. Here is where it will change. Now onwards, education will not be related only to your infrastructure that you have an access to, but education delivered with the help of technology will bring the cost down, where even a normal common man will be able to afford the solution that you have created. So it's going to be a blend of infrastructure along with the technological advancement. I'm sure, Lina, you're also going to be moving in that direction. The ideas that you have and the flow of education that you have given to the students needs technological support, and the blend with technology will take ideas of a person like you to many more number of students who will be grateful and thankful for the options and the access. And they are the people who will build this country and develop the country. I am a strong believer in saying that the education infrastructure of a country has to be robust enough to bring the development of the country in the forefront. Every developed country has developed purely on the strength of the quality of the education that they got access to at the right point of time. Every economy is dependent on the quality of education. And Lina, for that reasons, you are absolutely a great thought leader in the sector, and economy will bounce back thanks to all the education also that's happening from various formats for various parameters and various platforms. And we see some glorious day ahead.
So there's two things, obviously, that this time has taught me. One is that, yes, technology is the way forward for education. But the second thing is that, it's the habits of mind that are more important than, any sort of textbook knowledge that you have. I mean, you could be a genius in terms of IQ, but if you don't have the right EQ at this point in time, if you're not an optimist, like a forever optimist and forever resilient, and if you don't have that ability to bounce back, to take on the onslaught that's happening right now and just use it as a platform to bounce back even bigger and better, you'll have kind of failed at this time.
So, even if Lina, absolutely.
Yeah,
absolutely. So, Lina, I'm a firm believer that academic qualification is necessary, it is important, but life lessons are more important. Practical applications of what you learn within the four walls of a classroom is more important than the academic qualification by itself. I'm sure you're also a firm believer in that, Lina. Whenever I've interacted with you, I've learned from you, I've understood from you, and I've also acknowledged that you are a person who gives more weightage to the methodology of education rather than the content of education. So methodology is definitely critically important. Practical exposure is practical application of what you learn. Understanding of that is also very important. Yeah, Lina, I'm sorry to interrupt you. Please go ahead.
No. I think it's great because this time is actually going to bring alive the vision I have for education. We're suddenly realizing that grades, marks, assessments, exams are not supposed to be the focal point of education. It has to be something else. Okay, so now I'm going to ask you another question. Now, education related. That what we're finding as a trend is that parents of K-12 schools except in places like Gujarat, are paying their fees, right? Because they're seeing it not as a 1-year investment, they're seeing it as a 12 to 16-year investment. Whereas parents who've got children in the preschool years are not paying their fees because they're saying, okay, if it's only a 1-year investment. So what do you feel is going to happen to these standalone preschools that may have to continue with rents and salaries if parents refuse to take admissions in preschools?
That's a very impactful question, Lina. Pandemic has taught us one thing: aggregating of resources, aggregating of minds, aggregating of thoughts. All the preschools will have to become a part of larger establishments, become into joint ventures, and start sharing the resources and become a part of the revenues. That is the only way forward. Otherwise, preschools for 1 year are going to sustain some hit. Parents, out of the fear, might not extend services or might not take the services of preschools for some time, for a couple of months or probably an year. But this is the right time for all the preschools to come into the mainstream with the main schools, become a part of them, and then take whatever format of association. It might be equity participation, it might be revenue sharing, or it might be resource sharing, whatever might be the formula. But there is a solution for every problem. You need to ideate, you need to think, you need to decide, and you need to move forward. There is no point in putting up your hands in the air in despair and give up. There are so many interesting solutions, and my belief is, I'm an optimist person. My belief is this world has got fabulous solutions which you never thought before. God has given us enough 45 days for us to think, ideate, and come out with solutions on the basis of the challenges that we are facing and moving forward towards a glorious future. That's my take on that.
Fabulous. So one of the things I'm finding for myself is that I'm actually enjoying working from home. And I'm finding that a lot of people I'm talking to is that a lot of people are enjoying this work from home, right? Because it's just taking away so much of your time in terms of travel and other things that you know, and even focus. I mean, you're indistractable at home, whereas you're not indistractable at the office because you've got constantly people coming in. So you've got a lot more focus time, a lot more deliberate time, and a lot more free time because people are finding that productivity has not decreased, creativity has not decreased. In fact, it's only gone up.
Yes.
Do you see remote working as also one of the fallouts of this experience that we're going through?
The best thing to happen in this pandemic, Lina, is the work from home culture. Suddenly, we have realized that the resources at disposal were always ignored. People have become fantastically productive by not traveling, because the maximum wastage of human time today world over is the traffic jams, and people are absolutely confused on what to do in the traffic jam, and they are frustrated. So there will be profiling of roles and profiling of the activities that you are engaged and involved with, and there is going to be a classification for a segment of the people to start operating from home. Overnight, suddenly such a great infrastructure is automatically made without making it, because it is already there. Productivity has improved, your thinking has improved, you're not frustrated, you're fresh. Only thing is, there is going to be a lot of self-discipline on what you should do and what you can't do sitting at home. But these are rules and regulations that you will follow, because your productivity is going to be monitored. The best methods of technology are being used currently to measure and monitor the productivity of every resource of the organization. And the manpower has come under the scanner on what value addition is doing to the establishments. So what is he contributing sitting at home is also being measured. So I think this is going to be a breakthrough for productivity and extraordinary products and services to be offered to the mankind.
In some way, now we're actually going to be measuring human resource output.
Yes.
Rather than time spent in the office, because we know
yes.
how many people spend lots of hours in the office, acting busy, but really not having a tremendous impact on the business. So yeah. So in that light, if we go to a hybrid model of education and a hybrid model of working, what do you see happening to all the spare real estate that's going to be available? I mean, what's going to happen to real estate values in the commercial and the residential spaces?
So residential and commercial spaces, real estate which is constructed will never go waste. Only the terms will alter, the prices will change. Nothing will go for a waste. People have to come realistic. People have to come to reality, and they have to acknowledge and accept what they can get for their real estate. So people who are going to be flexible and adaptable are definitely going to convert their models and make sure that all the real estate is adapted. For example, tomorrow a mall might be converted into a school. Tomorrow a mall might be converted into a hospital. An office building might convert into a hospital. We don't know. The use will change, the price will change, but the real estate will be consumed. The people who own the respective real estate need to broaden their thinking and make sure that they start getting utilized. So no real estate is going to be lying vacant if the person who owns that real estate is flexible in his thinking and is witnessing the ground reality for the years to come. This is a change market scenario. The decisions that you take will define the future you hold, and the decisions are in your mind, and the decisions are the ones that you will take and proceed further.
But let me ask you, for example, if I'm a person who's bought a house or an office and I've paid yesterday's value for it, right? So my EMIs and everything are at yesterday's value. How is that going? I mean, and my rentals may not be coming in at that same value. How am I going to sustain? What's going to happen?
So real estate is a long-term shot, Lina. We are also listening to stories that a lot of industries are looking towards coming into India thanks to the debacle of China. There are already 1,000 companies negotiating with the government to come into the country. Now, manufacturing base is going to be shifted to India, and this is not a assumption. This is a ground reality. It's going to be a fact. Some of the share is definitely going to be going to Indonesia, Vietnam, Malaysia, and some other countries. But India is going to get the lion's share. Now, when business moves to India, the first thing that it impacts is infrastructure. The second thing that it impacts is the real estate. So real estate prices will never go down. You have to just have the sustaining capability for a few months or say 2 or 3 years. But real estate has always been a long-term gain. It's a long-term game over a period of 10 to 20 years. And we have seen windfall gains for everybody. I have not come across any human being in my life who has bought real estate in India and said that I've made a loss in buying the real estate, provided he has spent at least 10 years after he has bought the property. So historically, we have realized, the houses that we own, what prices did we buy that and what are the prices today? There is a sea change in that. What we bought yesterday, we have to look for it after 10 years or 15 years time period. And always remember one thing, we have bought these assets with a 80% leverage from bank loans. The best part about money is money depreciates, property appreciates. When you pay an asset over a tenure of 20 years, the bank is interested only in the interest that you're supposed to pay them. But the small installments that you're paying is increasing your share in the property holding. And that over a period of time, when you start getting returns, the returns are phenomenal. There is a mathematical calculation to that, but then it will become a real estate talk. I don't want to get into that, but you will be gainful at the end of 10 years or 20 years. So nobody loses in real estate.
So at the moment, we're saying if you don't have to sell to sustain, don't sell. Is that correct?
Yes.
And do you see a lot of fire sale properties coming into the market though?
So nothing of that has happened, but the unsold stock, definitely the developers are going to be scrambling to have a sale happening in those zones. Government is also ideating on how that can be sorted out. And these are some financial decisions which have gone wrong because of the times have changed. So those wrong decisions have become more visible. It is not that we needed a corona to have an impact on the real estate sector. Real estate sector pre the corona era was also struggling for the last 2.5, 3 years. So things are going to change. The policy of the government is different. The policy of the government is they don't want the real estate to be funded by the financial institutions. They want the real estate to be funded by the customers. Now, what do I mean by getting it funded by the customers is that the government wants the real estate to be affordable for the buyers, which is the right business model. And that is how it is going to be shaping up. And that is how it has already shaped up. Now, the second step of the government is going to be decentralizing metro cities, creating infrastructure around the metro cities and decongesting the cities. The pandemic has also taught us that living in low density zones or low community zones is going to be helpful not only from the pandemic kind of a scenario, but also from the quality of life. You will get better air, pure oxygen, good scenery, and great infrastructure. So things are going to change in multiple sectors, including real estate.
So if remote learning is one of the ways forward, obviously you can work from anywhere. You'd prefer to work in a smaller city with where the quality of life is better than stay in these highly dense populated areas. So
absolutely.
For school brands, the large school brands who are, building big K-12 schools, would you ask them to continue? Would you advise them to continue their expansion plans?
Absolutely. It is like you have a prayer place in your house, but still you go to the main temple or church or mosque to pray. That doesn't stop. You will have to pray at home. You'll have to study at home, and you'll have to go to the holy worship big place. So that is a school. And I feel K-12 schools have to multiply. We have a huge population to cater to. There is a huge demand. Lots of students want to study in great infrastructures. That will be a great possibility. Investments will come into the education sector in a big way. It is a part of the infrastructure and it is a part of the government to ensure that the education infrastructure is strengthened, we are losing quite a good number of opportunities from companies shifting from China to India purely because Vietnam invested a lot of money in their schooling infrastructure, in their education infrastructure in the last 1.5 decade. So they got better skilled manpower in the country, which attracted a lot of companies, and we have lost a few opportunities to that. The Indian government is definitely going to be focusing a lot on establishing the infrastructure for education in India, and the blend, the new model of education with the real estate, with the combination of technology, is going to scale up the quality of education dramatically in a different direction. So school infrastructure will be required, and school infrastructure will be the defining point for building the economy in the years to come. And that will be one single most factor which is required for a backup for the quality of population to improve, to develop the economy and make it more robust. The world will look at Indian manpower, which is well qualified and which can be ready to deliver product and services at the standards that they would prefer. And for that, you need qualification. That qualification is academic and also skill-based.
Okay. So how do you see big retail brands coming out of this? I mean, I don't know whether it's just me, but I'm sort of feeling that the human consciousness is going to sort of rise. It's going to evolve to a great level. We're going to stop thinking about consuming the way we used to consume. I know for a fact that, you know, for every thing I do live, I have a black shirt, and it's good, and that's great. I mean, I only need a black shirt. I can see myself being more mindful about the, you know, what I'm going to consume, how much I'm going to consume, and where all I'm going to consume. So what do you think is going to happen to all these big brands as people start getting more thoughtful about sustainability of the planet and, you know?
So the world is such a large place with 7 billion population, Lina. Every product and every brand has a category and an audience and a people buying economy. Nothing is going to happen to the big brands, but people have become choosy. The big brand buyers also, instead of buying 4, will buy 2. So the big brands will also resize on their operations and their strategies, and they will come out with their Pret models that might be called. We don't know how this economy is going to move. People have definitely understood one thing in this 45 days of pandemic, that the regular things that you need are so little, and we were still trying to chase so many things in life. So it is definitely going to be a differentiator between the need and the greed, but it is going to be an individual preference. I also feel that people who want to buy more are consumers who actually support the economy. So if you buy expensive, the money goes to that many more houses and it builds the economy. So a Mercedes has to be sold, a Rolls Royce has to be sold, a rickshaw has to be sold, a scooter has to be sold, and a cycle also has to be sold. It is a part of the global ecosystem, and it is all supporting the economy in equal measures. So nobody is going to lose their significance, but the formats and the taste and the decisions are definitely going to change, at least for quite some time to come, Lina.
So do you think this is going to give room for smaller cottage industry types of, you know, brands to sort of emerge through this time?
Absolutely. Everybody with a talent, if you have the skill to build a product, there is a market in the world waiting for you. Again, the technology is going to be coming to the rescue. There is great technological advancements happening in this country as we speak, Lina, with companies like Jio, which has got a 5.15 billion trillion dollars of economy, whereas the country has a economy of $3 trillion. Technology is going to connect every villager to the rest of the world. I'm not saying it is going to connect only with the city of Mumbai or Delhi or Chennai or Calcutta, to the whole world. A good craftsman with a great product. Again, the demand is for handmade products. The cottage industries will have a great market globally, and it takes no technical knowledge for you to go online. Now, even a farmer or even a technician in any part of the country can go on a Facebook Live, pitch and demonstrate his product to the whole world and create a buyer base. The money can come automatically to his account. Facebook can help you to set it up. So there are so many functionalities which are in place that people are not aware about, but it is so easy to be connected to the whole world. The whole world has become one small village. It's an ecosystem. What you have, there are so many buyers. You just need to reach out to them, and there are very simple tools which you can adapt to and reach out to this waiting market, which can, you know, bring revenues your way. Doesn't matter whether the road to your house is built or not built. Doesn't matter. The electricity in your village today is 24 hours or not. Doesn't matter. It is all going to develop. The connectivity that you might get even for 4 hours is good enough for you to deliver a product to a customer staying in United States of America in Donald Trump's tower. Doesn't matter at all. The whole world is so close today that we just need to reinvent the way we live and work.
So do you see the physical retail space coming down and online retail going up?
Online retail is going to become a culture, but the physical retail will be there because people will still want to touch and have touch and feel. The offline retail, the retail space is now going to become like a hoarding space where people will see the stores, go feel, wear it once, size it once, and then order it online. So all the retail space organizations are going to have a concept of the stores being advertisement billboards and the sales happening online. So this is going to be the trend. Again, it's going to be the blend of offline and online, and it is going to support each other. There are plenty of questions in the line, so I think I will also start taking up these questions for both of us, Lina. And there are plenty of questions here. Are you asking something else, or we can go for the questions?
Just the last question I want to ask you, from an interest point of view, is that so one is, I told you, I've become a lot more mindful as a consumer, right? I've become a lot more mindful of the planet. The second thing is I've also turned vegetarian. I heard a guy called Philip Woolen online, and then I've been posting about it on Instagram constantly, that I did not know that if we all turn vegetarian, we have no hunger left in this world. Is there anything that this time has propelled you to change in your personal or your professional life?
Absolutely. There are so many decisions that I have taken in my personal life. There are so many decisions that we have influenced in each other's lives. So I'm a person who's always a part of ecosystems. My ecosystem is an organization called Business Opportunities Club. You have been there on the platform. It is also Corporate Connections. And we have all realized that now it is more important not only for feeling for yourself, but for feeling for all the people in your ecosystem. We as a group have decided that now for the rest of our lives, we need to be together, work together, learn together, and grow together. So it's going to be an ecosystem, and empathetically working towards the society is critically important. The best social service that one can do is taking care of the people in their lives. So if there are 100 people in my life, and if I'm concerned about them, and if I take care of them, this world will be a better place to live in. Of course, I'm also turning vegetarian, like just how you have turned vegetarian, Lina. These are just all personal preferences, nothing related to anybody's choice, but this is just a choice that we have made. The last 45 days has really made me introspect, and this has been the best days of my life, where so many interesting positive decisions are taken. And Lina, not a single decision is in isolation with only what I like and what I want to do. Every decision that I've taken, Lina, is associated with people and with my ecosystem. Every decision that I have made is in the interest of the group of people and not in the interest of only me or my organization. This dramatic change has happened because of this pandemic, and this is one of the good outcomes. There are too many bad outcomes about this pandemic, but one of the good outcomes is we have really become human and heart. Social entrepreneurship is the need of the hour. Social entrepreneurship is not doing business without doing profits, but social entrepreneurship is doing business with a very sharp mind and a very soft heart. So there is going to be a connect between the heart and the mind of the entrepreneur, and India is already flooded with social entrepreneurs. So I see some fantastic times coming, and India will march to glory. India will be the fastest to recover from this pandemic, and India will be the global economic leader because of the culture, because of the mindset, and because of the zeal of the people of India. And thanks to educators like Lina Ashar, who will bring new methodologies of education with the help of technology in the coming days, months, and years, which will benefit the economy and the population and the country at large.
Wonderful.
So thank you so much, Lina. I think we can go to questions. Roshan De Silva is the owner of Trip Villas, which is one of the world's largest vacation home companies specializing in villas across the world. Roshan, he's saying absolutely, Agnelorajesh, it is incredible. We are seeing now how we should have been functioning. We would have would have done these things 5 years, and so it's best that we adapt to these technologies today itself. We totally agree to you. Absolutely agree. Rohit Raul, given the changed circumstances, how do one remodel the real estate projects business? So Rohit, new numbers, new ways of connecting to people, new ways of showing the value proposition and then enrolling them as customers. Sushant Raurane, Lina is a fantastic entrepreneur in the biomed sector. He sells all immunity-based tablets also. So work in ecosystem, extremely true in today's scenario. He is acknowledging the point that we just discussed. I'll go for some questions. So these are all some good points that people are saying. I just want to source some questions. Many international, from Sushant Raurane, many international brands are planning to make India's manufacturing base. Which sectors do you think are good for collaboration? Your take on this. So Lina, what is your take on collaboration for industries in India? Will education collaborations also be coming into the country?
So I'm not sure about the business side of things, but what I do second is that the beauty is that competition is not going to be the way forward in education. It's going to be collaboration. So we're going to get away from this stressed out exam scenario that doesn't do anybody any good, and it's going to be more about collaboration. But I mean, from a business point of view, I'm not quite sure.
Fantastic. So lots of industries will be getting into collaboration. Real estate is going to get a lot of funding from international countries. Infrastructure is going to get a lot of funding. A lot of funding is going to come into the education sector also. Government is also planning to remodel those sectors because infrastructure for education is absolutely capital intensive activity. So we see that happening in that also. A lot of pharma industry is going to get funding. A lot of manufacturing sectors like automobiles, mobiles, electronics, technologies, all these are going to get a lot of investments in the country. Ravi Salunki has asked a question. What's your comparative view on staying in hotels, resorts, living in private villas with players like Airbnb and Trip Villas kind of people after this pandemic? I think organizations like Trip Villas and Airbnb are going to flourish because that is low density living, and you will be sure that the places are sanitized well by these professional organizations before they are used, and the density of use is also going to be less compared to a proper hotel. Sandeep Pot is asking a question. Residential property rates in city like Mumbai will go down in coming time. If yes, then how for how long? Don't be expecting of property prices going down in Mumbai. You'll have to select properties where the developer is going to compromise on the prices. As a trend, it is not going to be coming down because the expenses are too high for the developers, and the finance that they have taken will not allow them to come down on the prices. Do you think we will move to a model where we work remotely to execute and only meet to bond and brainstorm and imagine a future together? Lina, you can address that.
I do. Simple answer, yes, I do. I'm thinking that every company will reimagine their office space, that they'll only have sort of, rooms for collaboration and brainstorming, and other than that, nothing.
Absolutely. So I also agree to that point, and this is going to be absolutely a new change. Good morning. Do you think homeschooling will start coming up and digitization coming into play? What do you think school currently should do more than the online lessons? From Nilambari Munoth. Fantastic question. Yes, Lina.
So every school is actually working their online very differently. Some are actually taking just what they're doing in the classroom and turning it into an online session. But there are more magical ways in which you can, bring activity and engagement in the house that's not being done in the classroom. Also, what a lot of teachers are finding that no longer are they spending any time on class discipline. The kids are just all there and all focused. It's almost as though, this is more focused because they're only looking at one than the whole, dysfunction of having so many kids together. So classroom discipline is also come up. So the future of education, as I see it, is a hybrid model that kids only go to school maybe 2 times in a week to do the discussions and the sports and performing arts and things like that. And the rest of the time will be homeschooling. I don't see it only as homeschooling. I see smaller learning hubs coming up.
Fantastic. Lina, there is an interesting question from Balagiri, a dear common friend. Hi, Rajesh and Lina. What is the future for the film industry in the corporate world?
I have no clue.
So I'll take that. So Bala, there is going to be excessive content being built. Film industry is definitely one of the absolute green sectors for the world, especially in this pandemic zone. What people have done is they have consumed a lot of content, but the way content gets delivered is going to be changed. It's all going to be streaming through technology, through platforms like Netflix or Hotstar or Amazon Live, and now even Jio. So content is going to be the need of the hour, and it has lost the requirement of a particular culture, language, caste, creed, religion, country, nothing. So in my house, I watch Spanish content. My wife watches Japanese. My daughter watches Korean. So you are absolutely in a new language zone for as far as content is concerned. And that language is the scrolls which come, the transcripts which are on the bottom of the screen. So you can watch any content and still understand the content. Yeah, Lina, you're saying something.
So do you feel that the movie theater culture is going to go away?
Movie theater culture will become a little more less. People will now consume more over the net, and film producers are going to be making more money releasing them online than rather than on theaters. Theater is going to be an experience, but with the current pandemic kind of a scenario where people are scared of people, for some time the theater industry is going to be having a lead time for them to bounce back. The pandemic sure shot solution definitely is going to be medication and vaccination. We don't know how much time it's going to take. The world's best brains are working together to create a solution, and I feel once that solution is out, then the restaurants, theaters, clubs, gyms are going to be back into action, and this particular coronavirus will become like any other fever or flu, which will just be treated by some pills. So till then, I think we will have to hold on. Which kind of education infrastructure project must be implemented on priority during pandemic situation to save educational cycle, Lina? This is the question from Milind Dige. Which kind of education infrastructure project must be implemented on a priority during this pandemic situation to save an educational cycle? Parents are fearing that children are losing on a complete education cycle because of this pandemic. So what can make sure that students don't lose time on educating themselves in this scenario? Is it online?
Yeah, I'm here. I don't know what happened.
Okay, so you want me to repeat the question for you?
Yeah. So I'm not sure if you call this an infrastructure project, but I think a lot of people have to invest more in tech solutions. I can't see anybody. I mean, I can only see the people who can sustain the rental cycles, and I'm not sure if the government will come through with any rent relief act for schools.
So this is a drawback of the current technology. It might go off in between like this. I think we have lost Lina on the line. I think she might log in, but even if she doesn't, I think we have answered quite a number of questions today related to the economy, related to infrastructure, related to some delicate decisions, and related to how education is going to shape up in the beautiful country of India. So I will take a few questions here. Vinna Sequeira, will remote class teachings use similar to Baiju content for teaching? Yes, Vinna, that is already happening. Lina, thank you for joining back. That was quick enough. This is going to change the infrastructure for technology is also improving, especially for the broadband connectivity. Vinna Sequeira has an interesting question. Will remote class teachings use similar to Baiju content for teaching? What's your take on that?
Yes, but I think people will come up with, I hate to say this, but even better solutions than Baiju's. Baiju's is basically a test prep online. I think it's, I think there's better solutions that we can innovate.
Look forward to innovate. Yeah. And Vienna, as you listen to this answer from Lina, it's not that she's talking in the air. She's going to be one of the forefront players in that sector very, very shortly. Paresh Trivedi has a question. How do we regain new customer base using technology in restaurants? So Paresh, we have got the Zomatos of the world and many other platforms which are now going to convert a lot of restaurants into cloud kitchens. And then these restaurants will supply food requirements of the local population, provided the rents get readjusted and the expense get readjusted by the entrepreneurs who are into the restaurant sectors. Sachin Verma has a question. Considering the attention span of kids, do you think virtual classes will help? Schools need to remodel their syllabus suitable for virtual classes. Lina, your take on that? It's a very valid question.
100%. I think right now all schools are doing to cope with this period of time is taking what they do in the classroom and taking it online. That's not the solution. We have to actually rethink instructional design from beginning to end. I don't think kids have problems with their attention span at all. I think where the problem is that children are becoming more aware of their primary motivations and their primary drivers, and we're not addressing that. So if you're teaching a child something that he cannot connect in his head to his world or to the outside world, he's going to have a short attention span. Just like if Rajesh, you start, talking cash flows to me, I'll have a short attention span, or, So I don't think the attention span of a child is a problem. I think it's where we're directing the attention that's a problem.
What is your tip for proper parenting? Because every house has become a school. They are teaching their own children currently at the moment, and they are going through the syllabus, and children are actually taxing the parents by asking them questions which can't be answered by the parents at all. So what is your tip to the parenting in these days?
So the first thing is parents have got too much to cope with at the moment because they're trying to do a work from home, which is new for them. Then their kids are at home and we're together 24 hours a day. So unless you've got a large house and you can all be in different areas of the house, you're actually getting on each other's nerves. So first is do not overstress education. If you remember your schooling days, you know that, whatever you learned in grade 4 or grade 5, you actually don't remember the content. what's more important is for us to engage with our kids at a connection level at this time, so that they come through this and we come through this time. So I'd say don't stress education at all, even though I'm an educationist.
Wow. Urmi Thakkar, do you see more sustainable and environmentally conscious transformation across sector in the post-COVID era? For sure, Urmi, it's already, yeah, for sure. Your take, Lina, your take. You go first.
So I think I think in without wanting to be flippant to people who've actually felt COVID-19 in a deeper way, lost family, or have suffered through it themselves. I think this is the time when human beings are going to evolve. That there's going to be an absolute rise in human consciousness, and you know that they've measured the electromagnetic waves of the planet, and what it's been giving off at a period after 9/11, and after a period like this is going to be the highest, where we're ever more connected today than we were. You're thinking about how do I give everyone equity in what I'm doing? I'm thinking the same way. How do I give, if I've got visions and ideas, how can I give everyone equity in what I'm doing, so that it's not it's not alpha led. It's sort of it's kinder, and it's more collaborative, and it's more community based. So similar things. We're all thinking the same way.
Fantastic. Thank you, Lina. Geeta Kotecha, all the way from Manchester. The interaction is mind blowing. This will now be my 7 a.m. wake up watch in Manchester, UK. Thank you, Geeta Kotecha. Thank you so much. We'll take a last question. And then we'll call it a day. Vinna Siquera again. Will remote class teachings use similar to... Oh, we have covered this question. Sorry. Yeah. So I think we are done with the questions. Thank you, friends, for being so interactive. Lina, it's always a pleasure to meet you, to know you, to interact with you. And you absolutely flow with the information that you have. We look forward. I'm in the real estate and the infrastructure world. You're in the soul of the game of education. We will correlate and we will give solutions to this world in the coming days. Thank you so much, and it was a pleasure interacting with you, Lina.
Same here. We have to catch up for dinner soon.
100%. Have a God bless day. Thank you so much. Thank you, friends, for all coming online. Have a God bless day. Thank you so much, everybody. Don't disconnect.